Hello and welcome. Today we're going to look at a fascinating little quirk of human psychology, one that affects everything from the furniture in our homes to the careers we build. It's the simple but really powerful reason we fall in love with the things we make ourselves. I mean, think about it. You've been there, right? You've spent hours with a tiny little Allen key and instructions that make almost no sense. The final product? Well, it might be a little imperfect, a little wobbly, but you look at it with this immense sense of pride. Well, that feeling actually has a name, and believe me, it's a powerful force in our lives. Okay, let's dive into this, because this isn't just some vague, fuzzy feeling. No, it's a well-documented psychological principle that explains how we turn our hard work, our labor, directly into a sense of love. Officially, it's called the IKEA Effect, and what it is a cognitive bias. It means we have this tendency to overvalue things simply because we had a hand in making them. Our own effort, even just a little bit of it, fundamentally changes how we perceive an object's worth. This term was really born back in 2011 thanks to some researchers named Norton, Mochon, and Ariely. They ran these really clever experiments where they had people do simple things, like assemble an IKEA box, fold origami, build with Legos, and after all that, they asked a very simple question. So, how much would you pay for this? And the results, well, they were just fascinating. People consistently valued their own, often flawed creations at nearly the same price as identical expert-made ones. But here's the really interesting part. They valued their own work way more than they valued another amateur's work. That huge gap in value? That right there is the IKEA effect in action. So what's going on in our brains to cause this? It really boils down to two things. First, something called effort justification. It's like our brain is trying to make sense of the struggle. It says, if I spent hours on this thing, it must be valuable. The second driver is a really deep sense of ownership. The simple act of building it makes the object feel like it's an extension of ourselves. It's ours. But the research uncovered a catch. There's one critical condition for this effect to work. It's not just about the effort you put in. Turns out, the most important part is you have to actually finish the job. If the participants couldn't finish their Lego set or had to take their IKEA box apart, the magic just disappeared. The value they assigned to it plummeted. From an engineering standpoint, this makes perfect sense. A half-built bridge isn't worth half the price of a finished one. It's essentially worthless. It's the act of completion that acts like a catalyst, transforming what could be a sunk cost into a treasured asset. So, we've seen the science, but now let's look at how this simple idea applies way beyond assembling furniture. It actually holds some pretty profound wisdom for how we approach our careers, how we lead, and really, how we live our lives. Let's start with your career. I want you to try thinking of it not just as a series of jobs you've had, but as a single, ongoing project that you are actively building, piece by piece, over your entire life. Every difficult project you tackle is a chance to invest your own labor. And when you see that project through to the end, you're doing so much more than just adding a line to your resume. You're building a genuine, deep-seated sense of competence and value in yourself. Your whole body of finished work, that becomes your professional masterpiece. Now, if you're someone who leads a team, this principle is honestly one of the most powerful tools you have. But it requires something from you, a willingness to hand over the instructions and the Allen key and to trust your team to do the building. A great manager doesn't just delegate tasks, they delegate outcomes. They give their team the goal, and then they allow them the autonomy to figure out how to build it. When people get to put their own signature on the work, they feel that sense of ownership. And what happens? They value the project more, they become more accountable, and they feel a heck of a lot more pride in the team's success. And finally, this idea extends so far beyond the workplace. It really gets to the very heart of what builds a family, a friendship, and ultimately a legacy. Because this illustrates a deeper truth, doesn't it? The real value in life isn't always in the flawless, perfect product, but in the shared struggle of creating it together. That family garden that's always a bit full of weeds. That holiday tradition you built from scratch. That wobbly treehouse in the backyard. These things are co-authored, and their imperfections, well, that's where the best memories live. Okay, so how can we consciously use this knowledge in our own lives? It really comes down to asking the right questions about where we're choosing to invest our labor. So let's make this personal for a second. In your career, what's that one unfinished project you could finally push across the finish line, just to reclaim that feeling of value? For your team, where can you step back and give them more ownership to let them build? In your life, what's something you can build with someone that matters more than the thing itself? And maybe the most important question of all, does embracing that hard work actually lead to a deeper, more satisfied soul? The IKEA effect, you see, is more than just a psychological quirk. It's a reminder that we are all builders. We find meaning not in what we acquire, but in what we create. So the question for all of us is this: what are you building today that will truly matter to you tomorrow?